Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for that insightful discussion moderated by Santosh. Moving on now, I would like to welcome on stage our moderator, Deborah Gray, Editor-in-Chief of W.Media, for our next panel discussion on the topic, So You Have Your Own Data Center, What Might the Future Bring? And our panelists for today, Jayakumar Mohanachandran, Group CIO, Buzeki Enterprises, Sanjay Kumar, Director, Design Data Centers, Demac Digital, and Anshul Chobi, Head of IT and GRC. Over to you now, Deborah.
I hope we're suitably caffeinated. No one's falling asleep. Please. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. In the interest of time, we will not be taking any audience questions. We'll be wrapping up this discussion in 30 minutes. Gentlemen, please keep your responses succinct.
Hi.
All right. The question itself, so you have your own data center, what might the future bring? It sounds ominous at times because we're talking about future-ready data centers. But before we delve into the future, perhaps it makes sense to have a look at the past, specifically your professional journeys. If you could tell us a bit about your professional journey so far and a bit about your organization, 2 minutes each. Let's start with you, Sanjay.
Yeah, so I started my journey in data center space back in 2010. And since then, I have been into the data center field only. Starting from as a power expert, I started my career back in 2005. Then I have been into the data center space, the complete life cycle I've been into, let's say as a designer, as a solution architect, as a construction manager as well, working with the different companies in the region. I have been into the region for 13 years and have already delivered almost 200 megawatt of the capacity in the region. Yeah.
Jayakumar Mohanachandran.
Hey, thanks, Deborah. Thank you, everyone, for being here. So myself, Jayakumar Mohanachandran. I'm the region for more than about 12 years now. Been in the industry for close to about 3 decades, wearing the CIO hat, leading large transformation programs for multiple enterprises. Recently, it's a pleasure being here today. We also have a community called CIO Association. We are a supporting partner for this event today, it's wonderful to be here today with all of you.
Last but not the least, Anshul Chobi. Tell us a bit about your professional journey.
Yeah, hi. Thanks for having me here, guys. Good morning and good afternoon to the people who are here. I've been in the region, again, importantly, 10 years now in UAE specifically. Started my journey in 2004 with, of course, consulting as a background, and was lucky enough to start working for the trading environment, for the stock trading markets. That's what the first journey has been, and has been very fulfilling from that onwards. Moved on to the different segments of retail and logistic and supply chain. And coming back to the UAE, I think what brought me into the country was the smart gates of airports. So the Smart Gate Airport program was the one which was specifically niche created over here, and then they require some expertise to bring those into really operationalize. And since then, I think I've been working, and now the part of CIO Association with Jay, of course, but I'm also working in with the semi-governments now in some AI transformation programs at the moment.
Perfect. Thank you so much for your introductions. Let's now dive right into our discussion. Now, enterprise data centers were once the default, but with cloud and colocation dominating the conversation, in your opinion, gentlemen, what is the real future role of the enterprise-owned data center? You want to take it up? Yeah, Jay?
Yeah. So I think, Deborah, that's a great question. I think we all have been doing this in, working on this particular, or debating on this particular question for the last couple of years, because when all the hyperscalers and the multi-cloud vendors proliferated over here, and there's a lot of options that was available, we all ran behind that, and, then there was a time where we all realized that the costs are really going high, and then, we all tried to bring it back. Then we realized that there is something called vendor lock-in, and we cannot just move data from one to another. So I think we have all lived through it in the past, but this is a time where the hybrid setup is actually, or hybrid by design is something which is very, very common in most of the enterprises, and it's something which every organization is actually living with that design. So I don't think the enterprise data centers are completely dead, or neither the cloud is going to be the complete one-stop solution. It's going to be hybrid in the future.
Future is hybrid. Does anyone want to add to that? Yeah.
So I think as Jay has clearly figured it out and set the tone, I think the triage with tenacity, okay, that is where we are leading towards now. So of course, clouds and hyperscalers have really made a big impression in the market, and there is a reason for it. But ultimately, what is going to happen is that with the AI advent, more importantly, we are having an opportunity being from enterprise data center segment, if you say, because security, data sovereignty, compliance, and also beside all this, the very crucial factor which I think everybody would be agreeing to it is the idea of edge AI and the idea of having the proprietary AI models. This is going to give a very heavy push in the enterprise data center segment, and also the co-location will help in as a kind of curator, as a kind of extended hand to the data centers, because just relying on hyperscalers is not going to be, I would not say safe, the point of thing, I think is not cost effective at times also, because the egress of the cost is going to be very much in the point of contention for all the CFOs, in my opinion, and any technology person having the biggest battle is not on the technology front, right? We always fight on the cost first thing, and then goes to the boardroom to make sure that whatever we are asking is cost effective and it is not cost bother around that. So that's what my take is.
Story of our times, it's all about cost. But I'm glad you brought up the entire idea of, all of these options everyone has. So how would you say organizations are deciding which workloads would stay on-prem and which could go to colos or which could live in the cloud? You want to take that?
So that is a business-specific decision, I will say. As Jaya said, that the enterprise data center concept is not going to die, because it's a business-specific requirement. If the data control is a business demand, in terms of so the cost is not a criteria where they want to save, then the enterprise data center still come into the picture. However, having shift the data center from enterprise to colo, or let's say cloud, and if the data control is still available in terms of the cybersecurity and the requirement of the business is still cope, then the shift will definitely happen to the cloud and the colocation.
Anyone want to add to that? Okay. Yeah?
No, go ahead.
No, so I'm glad it brought about shifts, because we are also talking about migration and reverse migration. We're looking at both those trends, especially in wake of AI, because they demand higher compute and storage. So will enterprises increasingly bring in certain functions back in-house, or will this accelerate migration to specialized cloud or AI facilities? What do you think is going to happen, Jay?
I think Anshul has just touched upon that specifically in his answer earlier. The proprietary AI is something which I believe personally, that the companies will keep it close to the heart. And, low latency, those kind of workloads, and especially those proprietary or IP protection required, kind of information. And there are definitely regulated environments, which will keep maybe almost everything, for example, anything which is related to a GDPR, or a manufacturing facility that has got, any model that's has to work very closely with the devices. So those kind of things will definitely keep, for latency purposes and things, they definitely will keep it within the enterprise DC. They would prefer to keep it within the enterprise DC. So the proprietary stuff is something which the organizations will definitely keep it. And it will not be a full re-in-house, but it will be kind of a balance that will happen within the organizations, because there are certain models like the chatbots and those kind of things which definitely can run very seamlessly on cloud. So it can actually be a opportunity as well, for organizations to split the workloads, keep those that are close to the heart within the enterprise DC, and those others that they require the scalability and the lineage that will move towards the cloud, because they get the leverage on that.
So, Anshul, in that case, control-sensitive, high-value or regulated data, how much of the enterprise data center's future is tied to the need to control all of this?
So again, when we obviously talk about control, I'm really a big fan of that word. Okay, that's myself, because the moment you say as a control, people start looking at it as a kind of power dynamics situation, which is not in fact. It's more driven by logic now. For example, if I just say that I got recent idea about IoT workloads, and of course the operational technology side of the thing. So in the vessels and supply chain logistic thing, or even from that matter, one of the assignment was on the algorithmic trading on the financial service. So when we see that, okay, the data which we are doing the transaction for algorithmic trading need to be fast enough to really respond to the user from the perspective of making that quick processing decisions to really put the orders into the commodity market or go into the swapping market. Now this kind of fractional decision is not about control. This is more about trust. This is more about the speed. This is more about the security. Okay, all these three dimensions come together and then make us to believe that this kind of workloads need to be protected from the perspective of the privacy, security, but more importantly, the speed as well. So when we say we want to really push ourselves in from the control center, command center kind of situation, I think enterprise data centers and co-location is not only about control to me. It's more about the speed. It's more about experience. It's more about keeping yourself compliant. I think that's more important to me rather than the control there.
And that's a tightrope walk.
Yeah.
That is a tightrope walk. Okay, moving on to design. Sanjay, I was wondering, if enterprises continue to run their own facilities, how must the design efficiency and operation of enterprise data centers evolve so that they stay relevant?
Yeah, so, as Vijay also mentioned about this, as long as the design requirements are coming time, the AI will start reshaping the world. As of now, we are working on the training models in the AI factories, and later on it has to shift to the inferencing, which is very close to the application where it is happening. As mentioned, that the latency sensitive applications, So yeah, the control is one part, and the other part is the latency sensitive, because every response coming during the inferencing has to be in real time. You cannot wait for a data to travel and process back to the factory somewhere sitting in far location, and that reduces the latency. Specifically, if you take the example of autonomous driving, the autonomous driving, if the vehicle is moving and you need to collide, and there is a decision which has to happen on real time. So from that perspective, definitely the location of the edge data center, the enterprise which is maintaining and controlling it, has to be decided accordingly, and accordingly those, because edge data centers are not going to be power intensive, in my opinion. They're going to be a little less power intensive. So the sustainability and the carbon footprint is going to be the lower side, but still it will be in a picture. But the latency sensitiveness is going to be the prominent factor to decide the location.
Jay, want to add to that?
No, I think he has summed it up well. But at the same time, there is also something which organizations has to be conscious about. When we are actually working on all those aspects, it's not about bringing back those footprints completely back into the system, because we are talking about ESG on one side, and if that's not been taken care. So I believe there is a lot of opportunity by kind of doing it positively and contributing with, the ecosystem. The sustainability model by which the cloud itself actually provides a lot of opportunity for us to avoid those footprints. So it has to be a balanced approach, and having automation. Bringing in automation in terms of having a complete estate with you, which is having a hybrid setup of your own colocation or your own enterprise DC plus few workloads that are critical, or scalable models that are running in cloud, which is completely automated, will help you to get that clarity and visibility, like what Anjal said. Instead of control, you get that complete clarity and visibility of your workloads across.
Let's move on to the next question now. Has the growth of colocation, in your opinion, gentlemen, created an off-premise enterprise data center? Is that what it's being viewed as? And in that case, again, do we have another tightrope walk when it comes to balancing? You want to take that, Anshul?
So I think you are speaking about, more importantly, the co-location piece there, right?
Right. Is it being viewed as an off-premise enterprise data center, an extension, or do we need to view it differently?
They are off-premise, but they're not out of control. Think it like the airline. Again, I come from aviation background also. I keep bringing the anecdotal about airline and aircrafts. So airline companies, when they hire pilots, when they hire crew members, they're not served all the time owning the aircrafts, right? So as a machinery is owned by somebody else, but they are having the control of the steering and the pilot myself. So same way, the co-location is exactly the same analogy to me here, because you are not owning the infrastructure from that angle of cooling, real estate, and also and so forth, the logistic part of it, heating and all that, temperature maintenance. But still you are in the control of how to drive your proprietary workloads, how to manage your backups, how to make it really a scalable option to your on-prem data center. Of course, the scalability was important. Until unless it's a hypersensitive data, which is a top secret, then it definitely need to go to co-location, should go to, because it's giving me option to save my capex. Because as I always come back to the cost again, when I work, I've been always asked, being the part of dual hat role, being the part of head of GRC and being the head of IT. Okay, one side I have to keep my budgets of IT and control, other side I have to keep my control of the guardrails in the GRC framework. So I cannot go one hand all the sides. So co-location is definitely an automatic co-pilot arm to me. Importantly, from the scalability perspective and to cost-saving perspective, because in the cloud, cost is huge. I'm telling you, if it goes out of the hand, it's a FinOps really will going to kill you out from the guardrails there.
So the balance is between control, outsourcing, and cost.
And yeah, control, outsourcing, and cost, and scalability aspect means the business model really warrants you to scale enough for the future years or months or quarters. You need to look at that very carefully, because if it is a very minuscule area where we have the very much clear vision that scalability is not needed, only what we're looking for the whatever the ring fence structure, and then only matter is the security and performance. So then might be cloud is the better option, because then you're not requiring scalability, we're requiring the right kind of asset, it's a kind of less sensitive data. So it's a balance we have to go with.
Sanjay, want to add to that?
Yeah, as he said that, yes, as long as the latency and the performance can match, and the user is having full control over the access of the workload which is happening, even though it is off-site, it's a better option to go for. And expandability and the scalability is quite a good option available, because you don't need to depend on one hyper collocation provider. You can switch, you can have redundancy, you can have the better approach, better cost-effective model, as long as it meets the performance requirement. Yeah.
Interesting. So gentlemen, let's engage in a little bit of crystal ball gazing. 10 years from now, will enterprise data centers still exist in significant numbers, or will they only survive in niche, high-value cases? What do you think, Jay?
I think it's going to get shrinked, definitely, and that's something which we have seen. But it doesn't mean that it is going to go completely out of radar, as I mentioned, because the regulated environments like the finance, the healthcare, those industries definitely will need those DCs with them, and all those kind of proprietary models which we mentioned earlier. They will also keep running that, definitely close to the heart, either in a colo or in an enterprise DC. So it's definitely going to be, you will see a shrink that's happening, maybe 30 to 40%, but definitely it's going to be still there, and it's going to be a balancing act between the enterprise DC and the hybrid model. I mean, like people running the workloads on cloud.
I see. Anshul, what do you see 10 years in the future?
10 years, I think we don't know. And after 3 months here, the situation is like that, because every new month we see new advancement happening in this frame. So it's very hard to say 10 years, but extinction versus really a dominance. If I just want to choose 2 words for enterprise data centers, extinction is not on the cards. Extinction will not happen for them. Dominance will happen or not, I think it's more towards dominance towards the niche. Dominance toward the niche means, as Jay was mentioning, there's the core sectors around government, core sectors around national security, defense, where all your finance data or health data, these sectors, and even at times, the sectors like which are manufacturing and which are heavily going to rely on the AI for the compatibility, bringing the AI connection with the legacy enterprise systems with them. For them, data centers are must. They are not going to get extinct at all, even for the next couple of more years, but that's going to shrink out to the very niche segment, and they require a very AI-enabled maintenance, predictive modeling around them to reduce the cost of these data centers, apparently, to compete with the cloud guys.
From the design perspective, Sanjay, what challenges do you foresee in the 10 years that we are crystal ball gazing, we are looking forward? Will these enterprise data centers still exist, or will they require massive design rethinking?
I believe the way we are moving, the workloads and the design will become quite a standard. And like he said that specifically manufacturing processes, medical applications, there they have to have their own data center very close to the application, just to avoid any discrepancy or just the delays on the process which is happening, So specifically if you look at the chip manufacturing and the hospital, specifically for the surgeries where the robots are performing the surgeries, those locations, they have to have their own data center very close to the application. Yeah. So it is not going to vanish, it is not going to decline. From a design perspective, which I see it will be quite standardized. This is where, being a designer, we are working in that direction. Mostly, so the things will be very, very clear, and getting it distributed from the centralized AI factory to the enterprise level where the applications are happening.
I see. You want to add to that?
I would like to add to Sanjay. I think important factor, Jay brought it in this, that data centers need to redesign from the perspective of very important area is about sustainability. We cannot just ignore that. The green infrastructure is something that is going to be of extreme, tremendous value to the corporates, especially if they are chasing the ESG goals. I think the green infrastructure is the need, and they can fetch them the carbon footprints and those kind of benefits.
Thank you for bringing that up. That is so important.
That's very important, and we only don't think about it when we always think that the scale is there, then when sustainability comes. But it's not like that. Data centers is a cost, just not from angle of investment, but more importantly from the angle of the cooling. The cooling and the modular racks, the kind of optimized speeds for the AI, robotic maintenance. I think these are the very crucial aspects for the data center designing for the future now, because old ways are gone and we cannot just keep spending money in the maintenance of data centers by the human being as well.
Perfect, gentlemen. That brings us close to the conclusion of this discussion. I would like to have concluding remarks from all of you. Jay, you want to go first?
Yeah, so I think, they have summed it well, Anshul and Sanjay. So it's all about, we all are, there in the industry for quite some time. We all have seen it, the things and the changes that are happening. So it's very simple for me, when I look at it. Place your data and trust where it's safe and legal. This is the first thing which I would like to suggest to everyone. Place your compute maybe where it's fast and economical. This is another thing which you can do. And as I mentioned earlier, bringing in automation, because then that will actually, help you to look everything like a single estate. And if you do this three, I believe this is going to sum it up well. That enterprise DCs will not disappear, but it may shrink. But the future is going to be hybrid, and it will continue to be hybrid. That's how it is.
About you, Sanjay.
Yeah. So,
concluding remarks.
Data center industry is taking unprecedented shape, which has never happened in the earlier time. So this change, which will be driving the data center industry in a different dimension, not only from the design perspective, from a sustainability perspective, as you said, it is not going to be in my opinion, it is not going to be a choice in a sooner time for the operators. It is going to be a norm, because the amount of power data centers and the AI factories are demanding from the grid, it's enormous. They have to start looking into the different methodologies to reduce the carbon footprint and make it more sustainable from the environmental perspective. People are talking that we will make it liquid cool and make it more efficient, and we'll try to embed the AI into the operation to reduce the operational cost. So people are looking into that direction as well. And on the other hand, when people say that we are putting a liquid cooling workload in the data center to make it more efficient, in my opinion, you don't have choice, because the workload you have, they don't work without liquid cooling. So that is not a choice of sustainability. That is the choice of workability and the function of the workload which is coming up. Definitely, it is contributing to the sustainability by chance. It was not your choice you made. But it's a good part which is happening. So in coming time, these steps we have to take. We have to make it more efficient, sustainable. We have to start embedding the autonomous behavior. Digital twins in the coming time will start taking place, so that the experts can be centralized and still will be able to provide the services and the root cause analysis and the fault analysis to the locations where the workload is working. So this is how the industry is shaping, and we'll catch up. We'll catch up in all cases, yeah.
Anshul, concluding remarks?
I don't want to repeat my colleagues in all the frames. I think I'm working on the AI transformations now, so I would keep that only as my last nuggets. The kingdom to the AI dynasty is not in the one particular segment of co-location or enterprise data centers or cloud alone. Jay already told that we need to really look into the AI and the AI related initiatives from all the three angles. If I'm handling the edge AI, the latency is the key for me, legacy integration is the key for me, I have to go with the enterprise data centers, okay? And if I want to really scale it out without any kind of hypersensitive data, with the backup and all, I will go with co-location. Anything which is customer facing, which requires superficial analytics and all, I would put into the cloud, okay? Because I'm not going to increase the cost of egress. So the AI kingdom itself is going to rely on three pillars in a nutshell. Okay, in any industry you are thinking of bringing AI, it has all the three pillars to work underneath alongside the data infrastructure is the key.
Perfect. So the future is hybrid, sustainability is not a choice, and AI is making us do things and think things over differently. That is the key takeaway. Thank you so much for joining us on this panel. Ladies and gentlemen, a big round of applause for Jay Kumar Mohanachandran, Group CIO, Buzeki Enterprises Limited, Sanjay Kumar, Director Design Data Centers, DMAC Digital, and Anchal Chaube, Head of IT and GRC, Leading Financial Services, MENA. Thank you so much, gentlemen.
Thank you, Deborah.
Thank you, my pleasure.